In this video, we'll explore financial tracking via the Invoices and Expenses tabs. Invoices and expenses, much like vendors and clients, operate in exactly the same way. So in this video, we'll only cover in detail the screens of invoices. It may seem odd, but invoices and expenses do not feed into the budget. These are personal financial tracking tools that are private to each individual user and cannot be shared. This allows you the option to track your personal financial status for each event while keeping a separate, more public-facing budget. As you can see here in Chrome, we are logged in as Eva Demo. On the Motorcycle Trade Show project, Eva Demo is the creator, and on the Team tab, we can see that Invited Vendor is on the team as a project owner. Eva Demo has multiple invoices and expenses each for this project and access to the Budget tab. If we switch to Firefox, where we're logged in as Invited Vendor, we can see that, as a project owner, this user also has access to the same shared budget information. However, the Invoices and Expenses tabs are empty, as this user has not recorded any personal financial records. Now let's look at the functionality of the Invoice tab. Here in the Invoices tab, you'll notice what should be a very familiar table layout. Each invoice is represented as its own row with vital information about the invoice displayed. Each row shows the invoice number, its initial amount, the date issued, the date it's due, who it was billed to, the current balance, and its status. There is also an Actions column, which will dynamically update based on the status of the invoice. To add an invoice, simply click on the Add Invoice button in the top right corner of the card. Simply complete and submit the form. When creating an invoice, the Payment Terms drop-down will determine the date due based on the option selected and the date issued. As with many other forms in the software, the Bill to Company drop-down list is populated by the records in your vendor and client databases. As stated, the Actions column has a number of action buttons which dynamically update based on the status of the invoice. All invoices have a Quick Edit button, which will allow you to update the details of the invoice, and a Delete button, which, upon confirmation, will delete the invoice from the event. If an invoice has the status of open, there is a third action item, which allows you to record a payment against the invoice. Clicking on the Record Payment button will, again, open a modal which allows you to record the amount and the date of the payment. Upon submission, the balance for the invoice is updated, and should the balance be zero, the status will be updated to closed as well. You can also click into an invoice detail page and view the complete invoice data set. Here on the invoice screen, you can see all information pertinent to the selected invoice with fields and forms to update the data. You'll see the invoice data, its current status, and all payments attributed to the invoice. If the invoice is open, you can click on the Record Payment button to record a payment against the invoice. Clearly, the invoices and expenses recorded via the Event sub-menu item are specific to the event. You can get a cumulative view of all of your invoices and expenses by clicking on the Financials link in your user profile menu. Here, across the top, you can see a financial overview of your total invoices and expenses, the current net profit, and the ability to switch between invoices and expenses. You can also filter the table by company or status. The invoice or expense detail page is accessible by clicking on the item number, as well as viewing the complete invoice or expense list per event by clicking on the event name. Again, these pages and the data contained within are completely private to you. This concludes our Event Financials video. Thanks for watching, and please click through the other videos for in-depth looks at the various facets of the platform.